Alright guys, it's been a little over a month since we've sailed on the Ovation of the Seas with Royal Caribbean. This is our I think it's our 8th or ninth cruise that we've done as a family. And I want to give you my honest thoughts on this and how we felt the value was, what the ship looked like, what the amenities are, what the stops were, and if I would do this again or not. Alright, to give it a little reference, this was a 7-day, 6-night cruise leaving out of Seattle and then returning to Seattle. We left the middle of the last week of August and came back the beginning of the next week of September. We booked this cruise during this time on purpose because right before school starts back up in the Northeast, they actually run deals on these cruises because your kids will miss the first couple days of school if you live in the Northeast. So we were able to get a family room with a family oversized balcony for around $5,000 for all 4 of us for the cruise. That included we had paid for internet, we paid for not the alcoholic package all complete, but like the beverage package where you can get sodas and things at the soda machines, and we also were able to include that cost had 3 sit-down dinners at the specialty restaurants. Overall, I think the $5,000 was fair for the experience that I received on the ship and the amenities that they have. However, I'm going to have a couple grievances you're going to see here in a minute with some of the way that they do things. Alright, before I get into the stuff I'm going to complain about, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible as I know nobody wants to watch a 30-minute video. I will say what others have said in the other videos that you've probably watched, which is the ship is well maintained. We had no issues with any kind of mold, even though the ship is older. The room is very nice. All the amenities are fantastic. You would never know the ship is as old as it is. It's very well taken care of. And there are good, cool things about this ship, like the North Star thing that brings you up in the air is a cool feature. There's bumper cars that are free. There's rollerblading that's free. There's all the shows like every other cruise ship that you've ever been on. All that stuff is fantastic. Now, I'm going to spend the rest of this video talking about the stuff that nobody else is talking about that kind of made me annoyed. So, our stops were in Juneau, Alaska, Skagway, Alaska, Sitka, Alaska. Fantastic. We knew we were going to do the inner little chain there. We knew we were not going into northern Alaska. However, those are all small ports, which means that there's not a whole lot of options when it comes to doing different excursions. Juneau had a decent amount, as did Sitka. However, and when you went on to book them, you notice that they're very overinflated prices compared to something like the Caribbean, or if you're going to Mexico, any of the cruises that we've done in that direction rather than into America. One way around this is that a lot of times you can book not through the cruise line, especially if you're going to be in America or territory owned by the US. You know that you're probably not going to get stabbed and murdered by booking something off either like Viator or Groupon or something along those lines. What they don't tell you is that these ports are small enough, so if you show up to Juneau or Skagway or Sitka and you want to do the same exact excursion, a lot of times, if it was another port, you'd be able to go on and book a tour or a dog sled ride or a glass bottom boat, etc., whatever. You can normally do that for like 1/3 the price of what the cruise line charges because you're not getting the guarantee that the cruise line gives of getting you back on time. You're not going to get stabbed, blah, 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 blah. What they left out in all the videos that we watched about going to Alaska using this ship is that Royal Caribbean buys every single ticket to every single tour available in any of these ports. So no matter what, you're going to be paying $300 to $500 per person to do any kind of excursion other than just getting off and renting a taxi or getting off and renting a car. One quick example of this is when we went to Juneau, we had prepaid to do a dog sled and helicopter tour, which we knew we were going to pay out the butt for to begin with anyway. Altogether, it was going to be about $2,000 for our family to do this tour. When we got on the ship, we noticed that on the TV it was advertising the same tour but at $2,000 per person, so it would have been like $8,000 or some crazy number like that. We're like, well, good thing we booked it ahead of time. When we got off the ship, they waited until we were off the ship, waited like an hour, met up with our person. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, this tour that you booked ahead of time is now canceled. The only way you can rebook it is back through the ship, and you have to do it individually. So pay for the helicopter tour, $1,000 a person. Pay for the dog sled, another $500 a person. Pay for the trip down the glacier for another $500 a person. So that they still get that $2,000 out of you per person, and we're no longer honoring the original thing that we had paid for, and instead we're offering 10% off each of these individual excursions, which is pretty terrible business practice if you ask me. I have never seen anything like this, and we talked to quite a few people on the ship, and they were all having similar problems, where if they pre-booked an excursion ahead of time, it was canceled last minute for whatever reason, all sorts of excuses, and then you could rebook it at a more expensive rate, and there was no option other than booking through the cruise line, because they had already bought every single ticket to the railroad, they had already bought every single ticket to every dog sled. There was no option to just easily find another excursion when this happened to you. So I guess number one problem, bait and switch tactics when it comes to excursions. Number two is going to be the actual ship itself is designed obviously for at one point to be in a much warmer climate. Most of the pools were not able to be used because you're in Alaska. I felt bad they had their swim, like the lifeguards were standing outside shivering in the cold at 40 degrees, just standing there watching nobody in any of the pools for days on end. I feel so bad for those workers, it's ridiculous. There's only about 3 hot tubs, which they then closed down super early. There were multiple nights that we were not able to use the hot tubs just because, they had shut down for whatever different reason. They have a different sign up every night saying different things. So basically, assume you're not going to be able to do any of the outside activities, especially when in Alaska, the water's rough, there's lots of wind. The North Star, we had paid to do the North Star experience where it brings you up way in the air above everything for the best views on the sea. It was canceled multiple times. They did offer a 10% refund, but the only time that they had bookings was during excursions, so you weren't able to use it. The iFly experience, that was pretty cool. It did cost us, I think it was like $60 a person to do the indoor skydiving, which I didn't really want to do it, but my son did, so I went and did it with him. I look like an idiot, but that was cool. Overall, I think that it's fine. You just need to know that you're probably not going to be spending only $5,000 on your cruise, because they have it set up so there's no way you're going to be able to do anything you want to do on land unless you do it through them. Alright, my next issue is going to be talking about the dinner service that's provided if you're going to do what they call like the formal dining. So that's where they're going to actually wait on you in the big banquet, basically hall where they shove everybody in. You pick a time at night or you do your my time dining. Every meal that we got was basically what was already offered on the buffet as it's special for the night. Just served to you instead of at the buffet. So you had to wait there. There was one night we went, it took 2.5 hours to get our meal. We were polite, we were nice, we said thank you, and we smiled even though we didn't want to. Got out of there, went to the buffet, and got food that we actually wanted, and food that I didn't have to wait 2.5 hours for. I would not even bother going to any of those because it was so busy both nights we tried that it was not enjoyable at all. The buffet, on the other hand, the buffet is fine. They do have the majority of the same things every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner, with only like maybe one station having something different. That was somewhat unfortunate. We've been on Norwegian where every day you go up and there's a different buffet completely. Like a seafood night, or there's African night. There's all sorts of different variety. A lot of what they had was the same thing day on day. I would not want to do more than 5-6 days on this ship anyway, because I would run out of options for food. All the special like free options for like the hot dog stand, there is a place where you get like shrimp and stuff. Those had such strange hours that unless you were out at sea and you planned it, there's no way you're going to go to those things, because they had really bizarre hours to make it so you could even get to it. Anyways, the next thing I'm going to complain about, I feel like I'm complaining a ton because I did have fun, but this is some stuff I wish people had told me before I booked this. I might have booked with a different cruise line or did a little more research. The paid for dining experiences with the steakhouse and the Italian. We paid extra to do the Italian, and literally the chicken parm was the exact chicken parm that was at the buffet the same night. We left there because we were dissatisfied. We're like, let's go check out what's at the buffet. They had that same exact chicken parm that I just paid $20-$30 a person for at the buffet for free. The only difference is that you got different bread, which is bizarre. The steakhouse the first night was the best experience I had for food the whole time. We went back again and we decided, well, that was good. Let's at least try that so we get our money's worth since we paid for 3 of these experiences. We went back, and that time the steak was dry. not even close to the same cut as what I had the night before, even though I ordered the same thing, and we also left there unhappy. So I feel bad because everybody working there was fantastic, awesome workers, very friendly, but just I was let down with what I had into the food. So I guess I'm gonna leave you with this, all right? If you have kids, you're going to Alaska, this ship does have enough things to keep them busy that they're probably not going to be up your butt the whole time. There is a cool spot where you can drop your kids off if you don't want to spend time with them. There's a nightclub, there's a casino with some really old games. Like, there's enough to keep you happy, but compared to other ships that we've gone on and other cruise lines we've cruised with, specifically Norwegian, I would even say, this was maybe a 6 out of 10 experience. I don't know if I would rebook this again, because by the time I did my excursions, paid for my time on the ship, I'm in like way more than I wanted to be on this cruise. We thought for sure that we were going to be in and out of here for like $8,000 total, and we went well above that just doing basic excursions, which is a video for each one of those individually on this YouTube channel, where we give our thoughts on each individual excursion and day that we had on this ship. This is just my overall thoughts. Would I do it again? Maybe. I just don't know if I got what I felt was an $8,000 worth of vacation. We had mulled over in our heads a plan of, are we going to just fly to Alaska and do our own trip through Alaska, or are we going to take a cruise to make it easier? In the end of the day, I think I would have just spent the money, taken a flight up to Alaska, rented a car, and drove around myself doing these things instead of relying on the cruise ship to bring me. That's my overall end thought. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you completely disagree, let me know in the comments. See ya.